late, you dickheads.
Screw that guy. You know he tells people I'm a puke freak?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 1 video. There are a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references, so we'll break it all down. There's a lot to unpack here. The episode title was The Ties That Grind, which is a play on the phrase The Ties That Bind. It's a reference mostly to Peacemaker's relationship with his friends, his co-workers, the 11th Street kids, his father, his brother, the Harcourt in the other universe. Now, mostly we're dealing with what's happening in the DCEU universe, but there's a little bit that happens that other universe during the episode. We're going to be seeing him explore more of that during Season 2, like he starts to explore more of the other universe. I know there's going to be a ton of questions about what's canon, what's not canon from the DCEU during Season 1 to Season 2. It's not quite that complicated, so we'll just explain that as we go along through the video. There are a lot of questions early on if the other universe is meant to be the DCEU like the old universe because of the whole Season 1 to Season 2 changes with James Gunn literally taking over DC, becoming the Kevin Feige of the DCU, rebooting everything with a new version of the Justice League. They kind of address that in the opening moments of this episode in a clever way with the recap in some carefully retconned footage that they shot new to make it seem like it happened during Season 1 episodes. There are probably people watching this episode that didn't watch the Season 1 episodes and are like, I don't understand what's different, but everybody that watched Season 1 is like, I remember the original episodes. They use the new Superman DC Studios intro because we are now officially in the DCU, and they literally say that with John Cena at the beginning of the recap, previously in the DCU. What he's doing is saying that all of Season 1 was always in the DCU with a careful couple retcon moments. They recap the basic plot of Season 1 with the butterflies and Amanda Waller being ousted from Argus after her daughter Adebayo went public about what she was doing with the Suicide Squad. They address at a couple points in this episode to explain why Rick Flag Sr. has taken over her job after the events of the Superman movie. And you start to notice a couple of the careful retcon changes that they make. Adebayo then references the Justice Gang in the flashback instead of the Justice League. In the original episode, she says, why don't you call the Justice League in to come help instead of the Justice Gang? You remember that James Gunn did Peacemaker Season 1 episodes long before he was hired by DC to become their new Kevin Feige and reboot everything, and long before he even wrote the Superman movie or created the Justice Gang, which we see later in this episode. So the whole concept of the Justice Gang didn't exist when the episodes originally aired. Then the next new moment that they shot to make it seem like it happened during Season 1, even though it didn't in the original episodes, was all the talk about him puking all over Green Lantern Guy Gardner, which they then pay off with the Justice Gang scene later, and also when he goes for the audition later in the episode too. He says Green Lantern is a freak and likes being thrown up on, so yikes there. And also Guy Gardner rides on a green magic carpet, which he uses to fly in this universe, the DCU, which is an Aladdin reference. We didn't actually see him use a green carpet during the events of the Superman movie, like he was just flying around like you would normally see a Green Lantern flying around. But I think this is James Gunn just pivoting on all the Aquaman fish screwing jokes from Season 1 and making them Green Lantern jokes. Like instead in the DCU, Green Lantern is the freak that he's always spouting off about. All because he recast the Justice League characters, like Jason Momoa is no longer Aquaman, The Flash, Ezra Miller are going to be recast eventually with somebody else too, and now Jason Momoa is Lobo, going to show up during the Supergirl movie, because right after this, next big scene that they changed is the Justice League scene from Season 1 to now the Justice Gang. So if you couldn't tell, that's David Corenswet's version of Superman, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and the girl floating next to Hawkgirl is Supergirl, Millie Alcock's Supergirl.
Where's my dog?
Then the scene plays out similar to the Season 1 version of the scene, with Green Lantern complaining about not liking being puked on. James Gunn also clarified that Superman is not on the Justice Gang formally. He just works with them sometimes. Like sometimes he teams up with them. He's not really cool with the idea of them being a corporate sponsor team. Like he's not really cool with the idea of the whole situation with Maxwell Lord in general. My assumption is that eventually the team will grow, and then Batman, when he actually shows up on the scene, will begin funding the team with his Wayne Enterprises billions. Like he'll take over, it'll turn into the Justice League, and Maxwell Lord will be out of the picture. Then Superman will join the team with Batman, Wonder Woman, and the other A-list characters that they want to be on that first roster. But the way James Gunn talks about it, that's several years down the line. He also just confirmed that there's going to be 4 Superman movies, a quadrilogy, and the next one will be the Super Family team-up movie that he just teased. Basically Superman 2, but it's going to be like a Superman Supergirl team-up movie. No idea what the subheading is going to be, like it won't be called Superman 2, but it'll continue when they do a 3rd Superman movie in whatever this 4th Superman movie winds up being. There'll be big crossover team-up movies with different titles. There's been a lot of news about the future of the DCU just because the Superman movie came out in theaters and it just came out on digital. Also, big surprise too, the reason why they released Superman on digital so fast was because there's so much Superman baked in to Peacemaker. James Gunn said that he wanted people to see the Superman movie who wanted to before Peacemaker started, and the release date for Peacemaker got moved up way sooner than it was originally supposed to come out. You can kind of see with all these different Justice Gang, Superman, Supergirl scenes, all the stuff that's happening in episode 1, it would be weird if you had not seen the Superman movie. There'll probably be more of this kind of energy, these more vibes and crossovers happening through the rest of the episodes too, where like it just wouldn't make quite as much sense if you had not seen the Superman movie. Then they pick up a couple months after the end of the Superman movie. This is like right after the events of the Superman movie. Eagly wakes him up in bed. He's living in his old father's house because he's dead. He just killed him, so all of his father's stuff went to him legally. Then he goes to his father's quantum unfolding chamber from season 1, which is just like Lex Luthor's. There's actually references to that later in the episode to the Luthor incident in Metropolis that happened recently, basically the events of the Superman movie. They introduce that new mystery alien that shows up from another universe each day and shows up to dispose of animals for some reason. Not clear what he's doing or where he's coming from. He just mysteriously, without saying anything, goes back to the universe that he came from through that one door. James Gunn explained that there are 99 different doors to 99 other universes in this quantum unfolding space. My guess is that we will see all 99 at some point through the rest of the season, or at least hear about some of them if we don't see every single one. Most of the story, though, is going to be turning on the one that he sees where he walks into the other version of his house in this universe and everything seems way, way better. Like his life in this universe seems perfect compared to his life in the DCU. Notice he makes a Crypt Keeper reference talking about the other alien. Tales from the Crypt, really fun back in the day, super deep cut. And the way they explain him going to this alternate universe for the first time, where his life seems like it's perfect, is Eagly scratches on the door, just sensing something. Then the way James Gunn explains how all these doors exist in this pocket dimension is that it's a shared space, so all the doors open up to the same pocket dimension. That's why he sees the other case of helmets for the other Peacemaker in front of this door. Like, wait a minute, what are my helmets doing over here in this part of the pocket dimension? And that's why he's able to walk to the door in these other helmets without having to go through another door first. He uses the exact same door code to get into the other dimension and starts to see that his life is way, way better. Like the house is better, everything seems nicer. He sees the Trio newspaper. His father and his brother are alive in the other universe, although it takes him a little while to fully realize what that means. Like he just sees his father's armor in some other armor that he doesn't totally recognize yet. But it is meant to be the adult version of his brother, Keith, who did not die in this universe. Then because he doesn't understand what this place is, seeing his father thinks that he's a ghost, and that's what freaks him out and causes him to run out. Then the Foxy Shazam track picks up as they begin the intro and he runs back from the pocket dimension. If you didn't spot him, the lead singer of Foxy Shazam had a cameo in the Superman movie during one of his fight scenes, and the whole band is supposed to cameo during Peacemaker Season 2. James Gunn, obviously, very big fan of Foxy Shazam in real life. There are a lot of big references here because James Gunn is such a big music person, so music was such a big part of Peacemaker Season 1. It's a big part of all of his movies too. All of his DC movies like the Superman movie, all of his Marvel movies like Guardians of the Galaxy movies. This time though, they use Foxy Shazam for the intro song and the intro dance, and it's a much more elaborate, much bigger dance than the Season 1. First new characters that show up here, Michael Rooker is playing Red Saint Wild. He's hunting Eagly during the season. James Gunn said he's like Eagly's Lex Luthor, his arch nemesis. This is that Eagly was so popular during the events of Season 1 that they gave him his own complete storyline separate, like his own subplot during Season 2. So there's going to be way more Eagly. Also, Eagly gets way more dance moves during the actual intro here. He doesn't just fly at the end like the first time. Then there's Frank Grillo, who's back as his Rick Flag Sr. character fresh off the Superman movie and Creature Commandos. People asking, how come he had white hair during Creature Commandos, but then he has dark hair during Superman and during this? That's probably just something that James Gunn felt like doing that way. Like, no, we just give him regular looking hair in this one. The way that Frank Grillo explains it, the reason why Rick Flag Sr. agreed to take Amanda Waller's job after she was ousted and is facing congressional charges over the events of the Suicide Squad movie and all the secrets that got revealed, is because he wants to use all of Argus's resources to find and get revenge on Peacemaker for killing his son during the Suicide Squad movie. So this is another big thing that James Gunn has talked about before. A lot of, if not everything, almost everything from the Suicide Squad movie is canon to the DCU now. Fun fact too, Michael Rooker also played a character during the Suicide Squad movie, so we'll see how they explain that when they introduce his character in episode 2 probably. Tim Meadows is playing Langston Fleury, who works at Argus. Sol Rodriguez is playing Sasha Bordeaux from the Batman comics, also works at Argus, and we see her later in this episode too. And behind the scenes, the person who actually choreographed this entire intro dance during Season 1 and during Season 2 is actually the real-life wife of Alan Tudyk, who was in the Superman movie as Robot Number 4, aka Gary. Alan Tudyk said that he helped develop the opening scene dance with his wife, like she was testing out dance moves on him just because he's a terrible dancer, and most of the people that were doing the intro dance are terrible dancers, so she had to develop dance moves that could be done by people who were terrible dancers. James Gunn said that on set they had a competition to see who was the worst dancer, but they didn't reveal who it was. There's a brand new old lady here during the intro dance, not sure who she's going to wind up being. There's the mystery alien that we see inside the quantum unfolding space. He's going to show up episode to episode, I think at least a couple of times, maybe every single episode, we'll see. There's a couple more Argus agents on Tim Meadows' team, and then part of the dance here hypes up the Peacemaker relationship with Harcourt, like it's part of the actual story of the dance itself. He's hot for her, and she seems like maybe there's like a small spark of something inside her, but she's such a mess right now that there's no way that she can deal with any of those kind of feelings, so basically nothing is happening between the two of them.
What?
They introduce his father and his brother from the other universe, and this Harcourt in the different outfit also seems like it's meant to be the Harcourt from that other universe who is in love with him. There's also a couple versions of Vigilante too. There's one with him in the costume, and then one with him out wearing the costume. Then you see David Denman in the background, who played Roy on The Office. He's playing his brother Keith from the other universe. Then they end the dance number, this time in a giant pile. You can see some of the actors sitting on the bottom there, like Michael Rooker is just kind of waiting for the camera to stop rolling so he doesn't have to be in the pile anymore. Like, are we done with this? Can we be done with this? Then they do a time jump to 6 months later after he first entered the other universe and has not been into the other universe since then, because the way they explain it at Argus, they have a special satellite that detects for stuff like that, anomalies, extraterrestrial signals, and ectoplasmic signals, which means ghosts, so it's like a ghost detector for the Earth too. You remember that hell and heaven technically do exist, they're canonical to the DCU. People out there really hoping that they work up to a Blackest Night storyline at some point with like the Green Lantern stuff. But they say at Argus they didn't detect the signal again until later in the episode, just meaning that he hasn't used the door in that whole 6-month time period. Adebayo gives him a ride to the Justice Gang audition. He's trying to make it onto the team because he thinks that saving the Earth during the events of Season 1 gave him enough juice that people really care about him now. But part of the idea is that everyone's lives from the Season 1 team are in the dumps right now, like everybody is doing terribly even though they did save the world. She says she's currently separated from her wife because of what went down during Season 1. He makes the Charles Bronson Death Wish reference. She's got business cards. I didn't try calling the number, but let me know if you did try calling the number. Sometimes they actually do put real numbers that you can call with like little funny messages. He mentions that many other metahuman teams have made fun of him in the past, so the Justice Gang is not the first team that he's tried to join. You can let me know which other superhero teams you think that he's auditioned for. When they pull up, Crank Toys here is actually from the Batman comics. It's run by Griffin Crank and Cosmo, who became the Toymaker character. They did versions of them during the Gotham TV show. Then the girl in the bunny outfit who comes running out crying after being rejected is White Rabbit, also from the Batman comics. Real name, Jaina Hudson. She has the metahuman ability of biofission. She can duplicate herself into two beings, a second version of herself and the White Rabbit version. Part of the joke here that they reveal later is that all the candidates can hear what they're saying, and Maxwell Lord spent their entire interview talking to her, talking about her camel toe. So that's why she's crying, because of all the camel toe talk. We see Maxwell Lord, Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl from the Superman movie holding the auditions. They claim that they've come to the West Coast just looking to expand the team, so they're just traveling around the United States, around the world, looking for people. He confirms that he's worked with Green Lantern before, and Green Lantern can't stand him, puking notwithstanding. Notice there's a classic comics spinner rack inside the room with them. And they basically spend the entire interview making fun of him, also talking about their butts. When Maxwell Lord says that metahumans are becoming more mistrusted and the Justice Gang is trying to avoid killing anyone possible to make things worse for themselves, this feels like a reference to Hawkgirl killing Gurkos, the Prime Minister of Baravia, during the Superman movie in Cold Blood. James Gunn explained that there would be really bad consequences for that would extend beyond the events of the Superman movie, so it just feels like they'll address that in some other future movie or future TV show. Peacemaker, as you would expect, has trouble justifying some of his kills, turns into a bit of a therapy session for him. He tries to get real deep while they continue to make fun of him, like he is trying to be very honest for him, so you feel kind of bad for him.
Lately, I've been coming to terms with the trauma I had as a kid.
Here we go.
Basically trying to show how much he's grown as a person since the events of Season 1. They make a Stan the Bodyguard reference. I don't know if that's meant to be a specific reference to anyone from the comics, maybe a Stan Lee kind of reference, but there are a couple bodyguards waiting outside, so it's probably one of those guys. Having enough then, he storms out and starts cursing them, but they're not the first group to make fun of him like this, not take him seriously. Basically giving him more and more reasons to want to go to this other universe and take over the other Peacemaker's life after he accidentally kills him. Then we find out that Harcourt is getting written up at the NSA over having toxic masculinity and is being kicked out, essentially. Like, she has trouble holding a job at other intelligence agencies. She's blaming it on Amanda Waller blackballing her, but I think the idea here is that it's really meant to be her fault and there's just undealt with trauma that she hasn't processed yet they'll get into later this season. When they mention Miss Godfrey, that feels like a Glorious Godfrey comic book reference. They also use this a little bit for more exposition, explaining Amanda Waller is facing congressional charges over what she did during the Suicide Squad movie and previously at Argus. James Gunn did say that they're still trying to make that Amanda Waller spin-off TV show where it's just her character is like the main character, and they'll explain what's going on with her next. We will see how long it takes them to figure that show out. It could be a couple years before we see it, so don't hold your breath on that. Peacemaker then goes to see her, trying to follow up on an encounter they had on a boat ride recently. Like, it sounds like they had a moment and she just doesn't want to deal with it. Like, she's just too chaotic right now. Peacemaker probably wouldn't want to be with her right now. Clearly, though, he is obsessed. He's not picking up on any of what's going on with her right now. Like, he's just looking for somebody else for connection. Maybe there's like a kernel of some kind of feelings for him deep down inside of her, but probably not going to address that till like the very end of the season where maybe he'll get a kiss out of her. We'll see. Then he goes on the Bender of Benders. I'm sure his father would be happy to know what they're getting up to in his house. Then we find out through Economos that Argus has been monitoring him, and technically Economos has been monitoring Peacemaker for months and months since the first blip in January happened, like before the events of the Superman movie. So he's actually been here on the DL in this truck monitoring Peacemaker 24/7 this whole time. It sounds like Rick Flag is the person who transferred him here from Belle Reve prison. And notice he's using a Lord Tech cell phone to talk to Vigilante. Maxwell Lord and Lord Tech are kind of like the Steve Jobs and Apple of the DCU. There's a couple funny moments to explain that Vigilante has been calling Economos every single day since the events of Peacemaker Season 1, much to his chagrin. Then we go to Argus with Rick Flag Sr., and he's watching another broadcast with Clevis Thornweight on his Sphere TV show from the Superman movie, also still played by Michael Ian Black. Peacemaker also went on his show during the Superman movie to complain about Superman with more conspiracy theories. You remember Peacemaker thought that Superman didn't like him because he was way more jacked than Superman, which was a joke about people in real life complaining that David Corenswet did not get swole enough to play Superman in real life. During this news broadcast, though, Clevis is complaining about another supervillain escaping from Belle Reve. Doesn't say which villain, just that multiple villains have escaped recently and escaped from Arkham Asylum, which is more Batman and Gotham City references. So apparently there are a whole bunch of supervillains just busting out of prison all over the place. When he talks about the glitch in the blip with Sacha Bordeaux, that's the dimensional doorway when he first found out about the other dimension. Argus detected that, and that's when they started monitoring him over the 6-month period. He mentions it's similar to Lex Luthor's pocket dimension, the Luthor incident from Metropolis during the events of the Superman movie. Then Economos lies to Rick Flag, does not tell him about the dimensional doorway. Rick Flag correctly clocks that he can't trust Economos because he knows he used to work with Peacemaker, and this is where Tim Meadows' character comes in. He basically takes over for Economos to watch Peacemaker.
Pony boy, don't let him out of your sight. Titties, I want you to take the front door.
Also, when they keep referencing the blip event, that feels like a Thanos Infinity Gauntlet snap joke like Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. Since James Gunn just came from Marvel, there still tend to be a lot of Marvel jokes baked into his stuff. Then while Peacemaker is super blasted, he goes to that other universe. Notice there's newspaper clippings from all their adventures in there too. The rainbow creature is a canonical creature from the Batman comics. It's just a being that emerged from a volcano. They also fought and defeated Ultra Humanite from the Batman comics. Also, the fight took place in Gotham, so it seems like this version of their team, his father, him, and his brother, are on good terms with this universe's version of Batman. He sees his brother is alive and played by David Denham, like I said, from The Office. He says the other Peacemaker was fighting villains in Bloodhaven, that's Nightwing's town. A lot of Gotham City Batman-related references going on during the episode. He also makes it seem like this universe's version of Peacemaker has a ton of friends. You find out he's got an amazing relationship with his father, and James Gunn said that one of the critical things that causes him to want to stay in this universe was this version of his father telling him that he loves him. Like when he grabs his ear, "Hey, love you, guy," and then he walks off. His father never told him that in the original DCU universe. While they're also talking about their history in this universe, he talks about him messing around with a bunch of interdimensional imps when he was 12, the Munchkin dimension. Like I said, James Gunn revealed that there are 99 separate doorways to 99 separate universes inside that pocket dimension. So we'll probably see several of those in the next couple of episodes. Harcourt then starts another bar fight to blow off steam. She got into a fight at the beginning of season 1 as well, too. She makes a Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean reference, and the way they explain this is that she came here just wanting to feel something. She didn't care how the fight went, like she wasn't trying to win the fight, she just wanted to get into a fight. Back in the other universe, Keith mentions his ex, who is Harcourt, he finds later in the picture, making it sound like he broke up with her in this universe, not the other way around, so this version of Harcourt is still in love with him. We wind up bouncing back and forth between the dimensions and the groups too. So in the original DCU, Economos goes to Adebayo asking for her help and telling her about what's going on with Rick Flag Sr. watching Peacemaker. Like, can you please help out with this? Go find out what's going on with that other dimension. He makes a Grand Theft Auto reference, and they pay off a gag from season 1 where he airdrops her a nude photo of himself, which is to pay off the joke from season 1 when she did that to the group. Like she sent their entire group chat a nude picture of herself on accident. Peacemaker then finds the bedroom that this other version of Peacemaker. Notice that all the bands have one thing about the titles of their songs that are just a little bit different, like everything's just a slightly different in this universe, and he winds up running afoul of the other version of himself, and they get into a fight. Basically, the way they play this, they make it seem like the other Peacemaker has way better gear, he's a way better fighter, but he's able to take him down using his own jetpack, killing him accidentally. Like you see the look on his face, he's surprised. He didn't expect to kill him, like, oh my god, what am I going to do now? And boom, slam to black. Clearly the answer is to get rid of the body and assume his life, pretending that it is his. All because it seems like he's discovered the best possible timeline that he could live in. That kind of feels like the lead-in to some bigger reveal twist later on, like something will be very, very wrong in this other universe. There were jokes about this on The Simpsons too, where like Homer Simpson travels to the donut universe, but like one thing is weird and it freaks him out. Then because there's post-credit scenes for all the season 2 episodes, just like there were for the season 1 episodes, this time it's just a longer version of them making fun of 30 Seconds to Mars. My assumption is that James Gunn just really hates 30 Seconds to Mars.
That garage band I was in for 2 seconds is better than 30 Seconds to Mars.
Peacemaker also reveals that he was in a garage band for a while. That might be a reference to real-life James Gunn being in a band called the Icons before he worked at Marvel. But because there's so many Easter eggs and references and so much world building they do, so much retconning to fit this all in the DCU in canon with the Superman movie, if there's anything that you spotted or any questions you have about the canon or the characters, just write them below in the comments and I'll try to add them to my future bonus videos. My full Peacemaker episode 2 video will post next week after they release it, and the other really big reminder is that Alien Earth episodes are happening right now. I'm doing videos for it, so be sure to watch it. Watch the show, it's amazing. Those episodes post on Tuesdays. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of those. Everybody click here for all the Easter eggs for the Superman movie. I've done a couple Superman Easter egg videos, and click here for all my Alien Earth episode videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.